Hello, welcome or welcome back. I'm Steph. I do reactions to and reviews of queer TV shows, movies, and books. If that's something that you might be interested in, consider subscribing. I just realized in that little intro that I don't actually address the fact that I also do recaps, but I do, and that is what this video is. I've also done a recap for the first season of Feel Good and the first season of Betty. Today we're talking about Atypical. I'm going to give a recap of the relationship between Casey and Izzy. I would have loved to give a recap of all of Atypical, but honestly, it's a lot that has happened. So if you're interested in hearing about the other storylines, definitely recommend rewatching. It's a show I could rewatch multiple times, but if not, I can try to link down below a couple of other channels that have put up more comprehensive recaps. But for us, we're gonna be focusing on Casey and Izzy and the progression of their relationship. So I just want to quickly say that I will be using she, her pronouns for Casey, but I do acknowledge that they use they, them pronouns in real life. All right, so the two actually don't meet until the second episode of the second season. The only thing of note from the first season that will become relevant during this recap is the relationship between Casey and her current boyfriend, Evan. When the season starts, she is with Evan, and unlike other TV shows which make the straight boyfriend a villain, Evan is actually portrayed as a really sweet and loving boyfriend to Casey. So Casey and Izzy first meet when Casey transfers to Izzy's school because she got kicked out of her old school. Izzy is immediately harsh and rude to her because she doesn't want drama on the track team, and she thinks that Casey will bring drama considering her history with punching someone in the face. And you know what? I normally don't love a hate to love trope, but for whatever reason it worked for me in this show. I think maybe because it was pretty quick, it wasn't episodes and episodes of them hating each other, it was fairly brief, and then even by the end of that very same episode, Izzy then later realizes that Casey might be similar to her as far as financial situations go. At least they can relate to each other in that they're not as rich as most of their peers. So we're already seeing their relationship dynamics change for the better. The next time we see the two interact is during track practice, and they're racing against each other and picking up speed sort of in a competitive way. And then Izzy falls and claims that Casey tripped her. The coach is super over it and just wants them to get along, and so she decides to just lock them in her office until they figure it out. I don't know if this is the best tactic, and I don't know if this is actually a realistic tactic that people use, but it's what the coach used and it did work, so props to the coach, I guess. They do make up, and during that scene, I have to say, there was a moment where Izzy said, "I'm not like other girls," and I was cringing so hard and scared for what was to come, but turns out she just meant financially she's different from all of the other girls in their school. So don't fret, it wasn't one of those moments. The two opened up to each other about their family situations and the fact that they are on scholarships and have to try harder than the other girls. So they had sort of a bonding moment there that then led into a deeper friendship. A little later we see that Izzy, since she has opened up to Casey about her family life, she feels comfortable going to Casey when that family life is especially hard. So she goes over to Casey's house and she asks Casey if she could stay there while Izzy's mom's boyfriend is around and being horrible. While she's there, she gets in with Sam, which is great, and I think makes Casey even more excited about their friendship or relationship or whatever. They build a fort together and then tell each other that they're each other's favorite person, which I thought was a really cute and heartwarming moment. Unfortunately, that fort moment was kind of ruined because soon after, Izzy's boyfriend comes over and of course is awful. He tries to kiss Casey while Izzy is next to them sleeping. Casey of course says, "No, I don't want to do that." But then when she tells Izzy the next day, Izzy at first believes her, but then has a conversation with her boyfriend and then ultimately believes his side over Casey's side, causing, another moment of tension in their friendship/relationship. But that is, again, pretty quickly solved when Izzy goes over to Casey's house for her birthday party and apologizes for not believing her and for treating her poorly. And after Izzy apologizes, we get this adorable moment.
Hey, Casey. Mom.
Okay, so obviously that moment where they almost kiss is interrupted, of course, because why wouldn't we have to wait another season to see them kiss? And then the season ends with that moment where Izzy and Casey are sitting in the car and then hold hands. And so if you watched the show as it was coming out, you, like me, were frustrated that you had to wait a year to see where this relationship was going. Luckily, we got there, and so let's jump into season 3 where really the exciting things happen. Okay, so the first time we get a glimpse into their relationship in season 3 is when Izzy texts Casey, and Casey is super excited about it. They go for a run and talk about the fact that they haven't really talked since the Slurpee night, which is when they were holding hands in the car. During their run or after their run, Izzy sort of friend zones Casey and makes sure to say friends about 1,000,000 times until Casey's like, yep, got it. Which I think was probably a relief for Casey anyway, since she's still in a relationship with Evan, whom she really gets along with and loves. Speaking of Evan, after Casey gets appendicitis and goes to the hospital for surgery, Evan gives her a very sweet little angry sheep in reference to something earlier in their relationship. And it's this really sad moment where Izzy makes fun of the sheep, and so Casey sort of does too, and Evan's never able to explain why he gave Casey an angry sheep. It's really sad, actually. And then we have that moment where Casey is literally in between Evan and Izzy and is looking at each of them, clearly confused about what to do and how to choose between them. And then later, Casey and Evan talk by themselves, and Evan explains why he gave her an angry sheep and tells her that he'll always love her. So then Casey goes to Izzy and asks if Izzy will cover for her while she goes to spend the night with Evan. Izzy's clearly a little bit crushed. In episode 3, it focuses on life after high school, and Izzy and Casey are talking about potentially getting a scholarship and going to UCLA together. And when they ask Evan about his future plans, he doesn't really have any. And it's later that we find out that he doesn't really want to make plans outside of the town that they're in because he doesn't want to abandon their family like their father did. Really sad. But this causes some tension because Casey wants someone who's ambitious and has plans for the future. So I think this is a little bit of a moment where we see their relationship isn't perfect, but that is pretty quickly resolved when Casey stands up for Evan and his life choices. As an aside, I obviously I'm rooting for Casey and Izzy, but it's hard not to have empathy for Evan and root for him a little bit as well. First of all, he's hilarious. He has great banter with Casey, and he seems super sweet. So I did feel bad throughout that whole thing. And I honestly like that the show included that because it adds complexity to what could have easily been a very one-dimensional relationship that is not really realistic. It does complicate things and makes me confused about how I'm feeling, but I do appreciate that they did that. In episode 5, Paige, who is Sam's girlfriend, hosts a dinner party, and since Evan can't make it, Izzy shows up as Casey's date. There's this moment during the dinner party where Izzy feeds Casey, very cute, and Gretchen, who's Zahid's girlfriend, picks up on it and thinks that they're dating. Because the show loves tiny mini conflicts that get resolved pretty quickly, we have another one of those for Izzy and Casey, where Izzy calls out Evan for not showing up to something for Casey's dad, and Casey then gets mad at Izzy for maybe 5 minutes. But again, that fight is pretty short-lived. When Izzy doesn't show up for school, Casey goes to investigate and find out what happened, realizes that there are familial problems again for Izzy, and then Izzy later comes to Casey's house and apologizes, and Casey is super excited to see her, and then they have this adorable moment.
I was just stirring shit up just because I was jealous. Why? You know why.
You know why. And kind of for the first time, Izzy is pretty clear with how she feels about Casey. Casey is obviously still conflicted because she's in a relationship with Evan, the cutest and sweetest guy. Episode 7 starts with Casey and Izzy sharing Casey's bed, and Casey's having a hard time falling asleep because the girl she likes is right next to her. And if you can believe it, we get yet another adorable moment from Atypical. So while she obviously is thinking about kissing Izzy, she's again reminded of Evan with his angry sheep. At the end of that same episode, we finally get Izzy and Casey's first kiss.
It is becoming incredibly clear that you don't feel the same way.
Episode 8 starts with a precious conversation between Casey and Izzy where they talk about when they had feelings, why they didn't talk more about it sooner, and all of that kind of things. But it's interrupted, of course, by Evan's sister Beth, And again, they're brought back into reality, and Casey is forced to think about what she's going to do. Then Izzy also asks, what's going on between us? What's gonna happen? By the end of the episode, Casey realizes she has to come clean to Evan and tells him that she has feelings for Izzy and that they've kissed, and Evan and Casey break up. Thus ends Kevin. I don't know if that's actually their ship name. I'm sure it's not. Anyway, Kevin's over. But because the season isn't over, the conflicts aren't over. Sam sees Casey and Izzy kiss and is super sweet about it. Even draws Casey a picture of 2 gay penguins. Very cute moment. And when Casey shows Izzy, Izzy is very upset about the fact that her personal life is getting broadcast. But you'll notice a trend. Very soon after, the problem is resolved, so when Izzy apologizes and says she just wants to take things slow. And then now that they've solved their issue, they go to a party and dance, and I gotta show you it. I gotta show you, it's too cute.
What are you doing?
Nothing. I'm dancing.
So Casey is clearly going in for a kiss here. Izzy's upset about it. She's not ready to come out clearly, and unfortunately has a little bit of a self-sabotaging nature, and then goes and kisses a random guy. And Casey, of course, is justifiably angry because, you know, they're sort of in a relationship at this point. And Izzy, not for the first time, apologizes again and reiterates how much she likes Casey. So they make up, they kiss, very cute. We have one final moment where we're not sure if they're gonna break up or not, because Coach Crowley tells Casey that she has a real shot at getting a scholarship for UCLA, but she has to take things seriously and stop the drama. So I think Coach Crowley here is implying that she needs to drop Izzy and focus solely on track. And maybe for a second we thought this is gonna be their breakup and then they're gonna get back together. Luckily, no, there's no breakup, and Casey says that she's not looking for Izzy, and the season ends with the 2 of them together. So I'm excited to see what season 4 brings and how their relationship develops further. And also how many times they have tiny conflicts that are resolved within the very same episode or by the next one. My bet is 3. I hope this was helpful. I will be doing reactions to all of season 4, so stay tuned and make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss that. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.